What's going on, the good people of Philly, and of course down here in Tampa, which Tampa's getting ready to celebrate here, Super Bowl 55 with the local folks. And yes, there is actually more than one Bucs fan out there. There's about 2 or 3 dozen maybe, finally, as the season here is coming to a close. 2 weeks from now, we'll be talking about the Super Bowl, and of course the following weekend we'll be talking about it as well. But tonight is about you guys. So we're taking tonight and making it about you. So tonight is our first segment, 15 minutes times yours. And tonight, it's a little bit special as well because we're going to have Vince Quinn tonight talking to some Eagles talk because we haven't spoken about the Eagles since the throwaway game, I guess you want to call it there, in Week 17. So tonight we'll be talking about a little bit of the new head coach, what we expect from him, what do you guys think about the new hire, and more anything else, obviously, to get you caught up on every Eagles talk we possibly can get within 15 minutes. And then we'll be followed by 15 minutes of any questions you guys may have by us. And we have Vince for about 15. So it's a bunch of 15s tonight, but everybody's going to end up having fun. So welcome you guys, of course, to another show. This will be a weekly segment, 15 minutes every Thursday at 7:30, just to get you guys prepared as we're coming off on the offseason. So with that being said, let's kick off the show. And after that, we'll talk about Last Out Media here. So hang on, you guys. We'll be right back. I'm Angel. This is Broad Street South Sports Talk. Try it again. Now, of course, speaking with Last Out Media, which is always there for you. We're always here. And it's a podcast studio for the creative community. The guys combined between John Crichton, John Barchard, and Vince Quinn have 20 years of experience. And if you want to become a podcaster, you want to grow your channel, you want to grow anything that comes to your professional view as far as becoming anything in the media, by all means, please reach out to the guys. You can see it on lastoutmedianetwork.com. And if you even type in lastoutmedia.com, it will bring you right out to their browser and they have lessons. They have John as our coach, he's our coach as well. You guys will be able to see the price listing on there. So reach out to Last Out Media. If you guys want to become podcasters, by all means, reach out. They know exactly what they're talking about, and it's a great relationship that we have with them and then with us. So lastoutmedia.com, reach out, look, and Vince Quinn actually may even talk about it for a quick moment or two as he comes on. So, of course, we can't do the show without my favorite guy, Vito Corleone himself, Mike Fuji. You know, Mike, you should play the drums as you're doing it there in the background so everybody can see it. So you should be doing that just so everybody can see exactly what's going on. What's up, Mikey? How are you?
What do you know? What do you say? The first weekend without football, not counting that pitiful Pro Bowl, if you want to call it that. I'm good. Looking forward to Vince Sirianni's press conference tomorrow. New sheriff's in town. I think I'm good. I like this hire. I don't know why. I just have that vibe. Kind of reminds me of Andy Reid coming off no one knowing him. Quarterback's coach, never called a play. Hopefully next Sirianni can deliver that same tenure. So
I'm quite sure the next two guys will also have a lot to talk about. Of course, our sports contributor, Mike Sherman, he will have, of course, a lot to say about the hire as well. So, Sherman, good evening. How are you?
I am doing fantastic. The Super Bowl is set. Deshaun Watson wants a trade. The Eagles have the number 6 pick in the draft, and the Philadelphia Phillies have signed JT Realmuto for 5 years and over $100 million. So all those guests who are out there who have questions for us tonight, bring those questions. We're ready for them.
Good, because I'm pretty sure as I see Vince there bobbing and weaving, it looks like he's a linebacker in the background here. So let's introduce, of course, Vince Quinn. And, we see the bobbing and weaving. Listen, if you want to try out for the Eagles, they're having open invites here coming during the offseason. Maybe you'll make an impact with the team here.
Well, yeah, I don't think I can make the Eagles, but fan-controlled football, if you guys have heard of fan-controlled football, that's getting going, and they take player auditions as well. They take workouts, so I'll give them a shot, I think, before I hit the NFL.
That'd be good enough. Believe me, right? And we just talked about it momentarily. Of course, Nick Sirianni being the Eagles' newest head coach. A lot of folks were excited. Vince, you brought it up before we went on air, of course, that how we feel about it, and we'll talk about it again as we talked about it a little bit during the off air. But Me personally, I'm a little excited to see it. I mean, I think it's better than McDaniels, obviously coming over. Just kind of a personal type deal. But to me, I think Nick Sirianni brings, I think, more energy and a lot more voice to the Eagles that's needed. And I do have an audio clip of Jeffrey Lurie giving him the call and telling him, hey, by the way, congratulations on being the new head coach. So I know you asked the question. I guess we're kind of gonna go around here. I guess we'll ask you first, and then we'll go to Fuji because Fuji actually had a pretty good response to it. So for you, Nick, the question, of course, the question would be, how are you feeling as far as Nick Sirianni being the newest head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles?
Okay, yeah. So Sirianni is one of those things where you look at the guy and there's nice things on the resume, right? I mean, he's a guy that's been with the Colts for a couple of years. He's been in the league for a while. He's been a wide receivers coach. For the love of God, they need somebody that can get the wide receivers going. So there's things there. You say, okay, and look around the league, by the way. I mean, every head coach, including the Texans, who I don't know what the hell just happened with that thing, but they're all first-time head coaches. And so there's clearly a trend here. So for the Eagles to go in on a younger guy, given the situation, this was really the best case scenario, right? Like you think of a lot of how this could have gone. It was like Sirianni, and really the guy that was popular that was like Sirianni was Joe Brady. He's got more experience than Joe Brady. He's like 8 years older than Joe Brady. So, but he's still in his 30s, which is amazing for both of those guys. So to have a guy like Sirianni come into the building, give him, you would assume with this young staff, they're going to have time to grow here. You figure this is a team that needs a rebuild, and this is the kind of guy you get. Obviously, there's a lot of things that we'll be talking about of what's the team going to look like with Sirianni, but just the base level optics of it do look good. Like I'm reasonably excited about Sirianni and the rest of the guys he's brought in.
Well, just to get
Good, Fuji. Yeah, you're next.
No, that just seems to be the latest trend in the NFL. Matt LaFleur, Kingsbury in Arizona, Sean McVay having success the last 3 out of 4 years, being in the playoffs, a Super Bowl appearance. I mean, it just seems like it's the trend now. Going with the young bucks, no retreads.
Yeah, a lot of those older guys, it seems like your best chance for a lot of those guys is you're the older coordinator that brings along the young guy now, right? Like that's the role. So yeah, it's all young these days. And I don't know if that's necessarily the answer. I would figure there's plenty of guys that they were either in a bad job or, they just they needed to go through it once to figure it out. But those guys aren't getting looks. That's just the trend.
Well, I remember when Mike Tomlin got the job in Pittsburgh. I think he brought along Dick LeBeau, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, pretty sure he was on the team then.
The Steelers defensive coordinator to help him out there.
Yeah, and with Sean McVay. You mentioned Sean McVay. And like Sean McVay, you had Wade Phillips.
Right.
And that made all the sense in the world because it was like Wade Phillips has been around forever, had been a head coach, all these different coordinator jobs, and like pair him with the young guy. He was like 33, 34. Exactly. And you see how it goes.
Yep. Sherman, what do you think of the new hire?
Well, I think that this is a low-risk, high-reward move. The Eagles just have so many holes and so much drama right now. They are not anywhere near Super Bowl contention. So you bring in this guy, Nick Sirianni. If he ends up not succeeding in getting the team to the Super Bowl, well, what did you expect? This guy was never a head coach anyway. Will he make improvements? I hope so. They were 4-11-1 this past year. But I'm not sure that in 3 years he's going to have the tools to put this team over the top, even in a wide-open NFC, right? Drew Brees, mulling retirement. Aaron Rodgers, who knows where he's going to be playing next year. Dak Prescott, who knows where he's going to be playing next year. And the same thing for Carson Wentz. So I think that this is a low-risk, high-reward move. Unfortunately, I think that Nick Sirianni might end up being a scapegoat. If the Eagles don't make it to the Super Bowl in 3 years, they might be like, well, you're going to have to go at this point. You didn't do what we wanted you to do in 3 years. And, that's not really fair to him. And I think that the Eagles kind of did Deuce Staley a favor by not hiring him as head coach because they didn't want to make him the scapegoat if the Eagles don't succeed in the next 3 years. Because as Mike and I have talked about off air, the Eagles have so many holes to fill at this point. Who's your quarterback next year? Who's going to be on that offensive line? Who's playing defense? Lots of holes to fill.
And Vince, now Sherman, I want to piggyback on what he just said as far as when it comes to Deuce. And we did talk about Carson Wentz a little bit before he came on air. So What's your reaction as far as Deuce Staley going to Detroit, where Detroit, of course, is trying to rebuild and been trying to do it for years. Of course, now they got rid of their head coach as well. But what's your take on Deuce taking on his position against over to the Lions?
Well, yeah, I mean, he had to get out of here, right? Like, he just had to go. And it's one of those things where, honestly, I don't know how good of a coach Deuce actually is. He's gotten a lot of love, but, like, how many times over the years have we talked about running backs and, like, who's in the game and why? And Deuce was the guy that was always managing that. So, I don't know. Like, he's been passed over for stuff, and it just felt like for him to try to advance his career, he clearly had to go somewhere else. I mean, sometimes you're in your job and your manager just doesn't realize that, hey, you're worth a promotion. So what do? You go elsewhere, right? So, like, Deuce is doing the same thing. It's totally normal, and I wish him luck. I hope the kneecaps that he eats with Dan Campbell, I just hope they're delicious. But outside of that, like, you look at where the Eagles are now, and like Mike was saying, with all the holes on the team, I mean, Mike, there's so many holes on the team. Like, offensively, what are they going to go for? What are they going to prioritize? Because you look at this team, and it's not just that they need to change so much, but, like, how many moves can they make? You know, look at the salary cap. Like, they're going to have serious issues here. So what do they invest in? Are they going to invest in the offensive line, even though they've got some older guys coming off injuries? Do they still do that? Do you add more running backs because they like to rotate running backs in Indy for the past couple of years? I don't know. Do they like all the young wide receivers the Eagles went in on last year? I have no idea. So, like, what do they prioritize? What do they go after? There's just a billion questions with all of this.
No, it's exactly true. And then, Mike, and the other thing was we talked about, of course, was you were saying how you were feeling at least a little more comfortable, maybe that Carson Wentz could be back next season, as before we went on air here, and with maybe the Nick trying to build that relationship with Carson, trying to get his head straight. I mean, who knows what's going to happen there with Carson Wentz? Does Jalen Hurts win the starting position? There's talks about, of course, drafting yet another quarterback, as Howie Roseman once said, the quarterback factory that he wants to do here in Philly. So there's a lot of unknowns that continue to happen, and we're not even at the start of the offseason yet, because obviously the Super Bowl is yet to be played. But it's going to be intriguing to see what Nick can do, if anything, with Carson Wentz, because can Carson Wentz be fixed? And I'll say it right to you, of course, Vince. Can he be fixed, or is it one of these things that is he going to seek a trade like Deshaun Watson?
Well, yeah, man. I mean, one, he can try to seek a trade, but the thing is, what's his value and who's going after him? I mean, really, like, what's it going to do for him at this point? Because if Deshaun Watson's going to be available, Matthew Stafford is available, you've got all these guys in the draft. You got to figure Sam Darnold's going to be available because the Jets are going to, they could very well take a guy at 2. So you're looking around the league here, and it's like, let's be honest, there's just not really any places for Wentz to go. So if he's going to beg and plead to get out of town, it might just make next year worse for him anyway. So he might as well just keep quiet and hope for the best. Now, in terms of what you can do to fix him, I think you can fix him. The problem is he just puts too much on himself. He's always trying to make a play, and he'll never give up the ball, which everybody knows you just can't do. Like, it's just such a fundamental, obvious thing. But he hasn't learned that in the past, really, let's say 3 years since the Super Bowl. Since he had the ACL tear, he just hasn't learned that he's got to let some plays go. So the thing is, I'll say this, on top of his ability to come back, which I think is possible but not likely. If you're looking at Sirianni and what he's going to do, if he's going to run the ball a bunch, and this is a ball control team, and Wentz looks more like, Phillip Rivers did this year, or if he looks like even Ryan Tannehill. I mean, if you see Ryan Tannehill and what he does with the Titans, he's a really good player. Like, he runs once in a while. He can make really big plays with his legs. He's an accurate passer, but they're not asking him to throw the ball 45 times a game, and he manages it well. So if Wentz settles into being a game manager that can make a couple of plays, he's golden. Like, you could look at him being a really good player for this team. It's just not an MVP kind of guy, and he wants to be the MVP. So do they get through to him?
Interesting. Mike Fuji?
Well, that's just to piggyback off what you're saying, Vince. The thing is, people talk about fixing Carson Wentz. To me, as you're speaking that, I think Carson Wentz has to be willing to fix himself as a player, as a teammate, as to get over all the Nick Foles, Jalen Hurts, whatever. He hasn't spoken to the media, which to me is a disgrace. Like, is he thick? I said this months ago. Is Carson Wentz thick-skinned enough to play in the city of Philadelphia? To me, I don't think he is, because any quarterback would welcome competition. you get up to the microphone and take it like a man with this media. Like, that's just how it is. Either you can play in Philadelphia or hit the bricks, my man. I mean, and also about Nick Sirianni, this is why I kind of like the hire, because you get away from the pass game. It's got to be a balanced offense. You got to run the ball, play action, whatever you got to do. But, it's got to be the run sets up the pass. And play action would be awesome. I just think this organization needs to get away from the Andy Reid tree. And I may take the ball for it, but as the consensus, but I like the hire by Jeff Lurie.
I think Thomas Fogarty, and thank you for watching tonight, said it best. We need a fresh start. And the way that you have a fresh start with this team, it all starts with the offensive line. If you have a strong offensive line, that's going to give the quarterback time to throw the ball. It's going to give running backs the confidence to run through holes. And as Vince said so eloquently, the fact that if Carson Wentz can become a game manager, or if Jalen Hurts can become a game manager, that's all we need if we have a strong offensive line. Use Miles Sanders or running back number 2 that we bring in eventually. Build that offensive line. I think back to when the St. Louis Rams drafted Orlando Pace, and that's just the beginning of how the greatest show on turf became the greatest show on turf. It's no fantasy football guys that anybody's going to know about, right? But it's going to be 5 guys in that line who's going to be able to give the great protection for whoever's slinging the ball for the Eagles, whether it's Wentz, whether it's Hurts, whether it's Deshaun Watson or somebody in the draft.
Yeah, so true. And so my thing as well, and I know Sherman, you just brought up a point here, and I want to talk about as far as the core wide receivers as well. Vince, we know we've seen obviously this year with the Eagles, they've could they have done better? Yes, of course they could, but we're seeing the core wide receivers that they haven't been together for a long period of time. Nick apparently is loved very much by Indy. We had a gentleman on, Michael Terrazas, not too long ago from the Indianapolis Colts, and he talked about like the chemistry, the bond that he puts together in that clubhouse, in that room. So with the core wide receivers that we have, and yes, they may not be all-stars, but they try to give it their all every given Sunday. Can Nick make these guys into kind of like all-star caliber wide receivers, or are we going to see something new coming out of the draft? Maybe another young wide receiver added on to this now young team that seems to be in the rebuilding mode.
Well, yeah, I mean, at the very least, can he fill out the, number 2, number 3, number 4 spot, right? Like, I don't look at anybody on this roster and say you're going to have a bona fide number 1 wide receiver. I just don't think any of those guys stack up. Even when Rager was coming out of the draft before his little injuries and whatever he did last season, I looked at him and I thought, okay, this guy's probably at best. Like, remember when you had Macklin and Deshaun and it was like a 1A and a 1B? Right. It's like a half step down from that. That's kind of where I see Rager. Like he's close to being a number 1, like at best, but odds are he's a number 2 that can give you a big play from time to time. So you look at the rest of the guys. Yeah, like can he make J.J. Arcega-Whiteside even worth putting on the field? Like does he even make the team this year? Quez Watkins is a super fun project. And what can they get out of him? Like, there's so much excitement, but also if they're going to be more of a running team, how often do these guys get on the field? Like, how many 3 and 4 and 5 wide receiver sets do we see? I have no idea. So the whole receiver position, what are they looking for? How much do they care about speed, which the front office clearly valued last year with Goodwin and all those guys? I mean, it was 40 times, Hightower, 40 times. So how much do they care about that? How much are they emphasizing the deep ball? And that's going to be a weird thing. Like, is that their fit? Is that what they want to do? Are they forced to do that? It's a lot of questions with the wide receivers.
I mean, looking at the Colts offense, I mean, T.Y. Hilton, Michael Pittman, T.Y. Hilton was a stud probably a few years back, but he was just plagued with injuries. And, Michael Pittman just seems like the number 1 receiver out there. They seem like they're more 12 personnel with the two tight end sets. With Trey Burton out there, Jack Doyle.
Yeah, they had Mo Alley Cox, who they like to use, and he's a good big tight end. So, yeah, like if they're using those guys, and that's fine with me, but they did put a lot in wide receiver,
Right.
Last question here. Mike has one here. It says, are you confident going into the season with Travis Fulgham and Jalen Reagor as your two main wide receivers?
Wow. And you know what's funny? I didn't even mention, I forgot about Fulgham. Like, how sad is that? I honestly, like, for the 4 weeks that he had and all the Fulgham mania that we had, it just, like, he just didn't even register because they didn't play him. So, yeah, I don't feel confident going into the season with those two as the top guy. You can't. Like, they just haven't proven anything to make you feel like that. You know, you can think of plenty of wide receivers that have had a good 4-week stretch or a good year and fallen off. Can they be a number one guy? So, no, I don't feel good about it. But the thing is, with all these young guys, you don't really have the opportunity to go and bring somebody of substance in, you know, the way like they did with Alshon before when he was younger and he was the big name on the market. Like, they can't do that. They just can't afford to. They're wasting the picks. They've got so many other holes to fill. And so you just hope these guys are serviceable. It's ugly.
Man, they're about $63 million over the cap. And I know a couple months ago they said, you know, the cap could only be like $180 million, and don't be surprised if a lot of big names in the NFL guys are released, you know, with high salary cap numbers.
Yeah, and they can't even go after those guys. They can't get those guys on the cheap and make the most of opportunities. Like that, it's just a travesty.
Vince, can you see a guy like Fletcher Cox being cut?
I don't know if I'd see him get cut. I'm not sure what the cap hit is. I thought about them trading him. You know,
that too.
Because I can totally see that. Because here's the thing: like, Fletcher Cox still has value, and when you're looking at it, you go, okay, could teams be interested in a defensive tackle that can pass rush? Yes. Is $20 million too expensive for him? Not yet. And so, yeah, you could make that move, and moving out off of Jim Schwartz makes it all the easier, right? Like, are they going to be invested in defensive tackles all the same? You just paid for Hargrave. Are you okay with Hargrave and another guy as your starting D tackles? Right. Yeah, it's not ideal, but it's a rebuilding year. So move Cox, save salary if you can, get a pick, live your life.
I think Malik Jackson's out of here, and Brandon Graham's probably going to have to take a pay cut.
Yeah.
Listen, Vince, we appreciate it. I know you have to run. Thank you, of course. Vince Quinn from Last Out Media, and you can see him right there in the middle with John and John in between, kind of sandwich in between. So thank you so much. I know you're going to be on CBS Sports Radio, I believe, this Sunday, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, Saturday into Sunday, 2 to 6. It's prime time in Hawaii, I think is the understanding. So, so for everybody in Hawaii, tune in, and I'll see you in the afternoon.
All right, Vince, thank you for coming on. We do appreciate it. And, well, I guess we'll try and wrap with you a little bit before the Super Bowl. So thanks a lot for coming on. We do appreciate it.
All right, sounds good, guys. Always a pleasure. Take it easy.
Take care. Thank you for coming on.
Yeah.
All right, so let's good. Let me get this back to the other screen, not the super screen there. There we go. So, and let me bring this back over here. I got the recording that I'm going to play here. Two things, or actually a quick video, as we have the first 15 minutes, of course, with Vince. Now the next 15 minutes are with us, as we'll be going towards the back end of the show. And again, every Thursday from now on, unless something changes, 7:30 will be 15 minutes times yours with you guys out there. So any guests or anybody else that we have on, we'll have them on Thursdays, leading up until, of course, the draft and the regular season all over again. So look for us here on Thursday nights. It'll be permanent, 7:30 on Thursday nights. We'll give you the wrap about the Phillies, Sixers, and everything else going on around the league. So with all that being said, it was pretty cool actually to see for the first time today, and if I can, before I end up looking like an idiot, there we go. For the first time today, where it was showed Nick, I can't because I can make fun of myself because that's what ended up happening last week. You end up looking like a complete idiot because things didn't go the way they're supposed to have. So it's just the way it works. But it was cool to see, I guess, in a way, because obviously we were excited when Chip Kelly was gone, and then of course Doug was here. I think the sense of, things coming back, even though I know it's freezing up in Philadelphia right now. We've been fortunate down here in Tampa. We've been averaging about 80 degrees for the past couple of days. But it's nice to see, I guess, the change. And just to show a clip here of the Eagles showing Nick the new digs and, I guess, the new facility.
Oh, he 2003. Oh, right. Okay. He was like the last piece we had. That's awesome.
So I'll show the second clip here momentarily. And in case you guys want to know what the audio was, I got confirmation from this from the inside. As they were walking through the hallway, what they were saying was they like to keep Howie Roseman in the closet, and then they'll let him out every once in a while. And that's where they were pointing when they were pointing out in the hall. And he asked about Sylvester Stallone and said, hey, look, Rocky. And they were like, yeah, Rocky, It's a Philly living legend. So in case you guys didn't hear that audio, that's exactly what it was. Of course, I am improvising because that's not what was said. But to you guys, I will ask, and I guess I'll start with Sherman first. Of course, Nick is here now. We got to see him in the building. Tomorrow is the press conference. I think it's around noontime that they're planning on having the press conference, and I'm pretty sure it'll run live on 94 WIP, the flagship of the Philadelphia Eagles. To you, what's the feeling like? Even if you're a player and obviously as a fan, but how do you feel Nick finally being here in Philly, and what does it mean, I guess, partially to the city?
Well, I think the first thing to mention is that having a coach for the Eagles that is finalized, it eliminates so much of the drama. It eliminates so much of the rumor and the fodder that you're going to see on so many of these sports podcasts and talk shows are like, yeah, here's the rumor that this guy's going to get the job, that guy's going to get the job. Now it's official. Nick Sirianni is the coach of the Philadelphia Eagles, whether you like it or whether you don't like it. Now that he's the coach, the Eagles have some work to do. They got to make sure that they end up drafting the right person. They need to make sure that that person is going to align with what Nick Sirianni wants to do with this team. And as we said earlier in the show, there are just so many holes to fill that we could be looking at another 5-11 or 6-10 season next year, even though they're playing a last place schedule, because as we've talked about, there's just so many holes to fill. And I really hope that Nick Sirianni does not end up becoming the scapegoat. But at least, hey, we have a head coach. Like him or don't like him, we now have work to do. And, we're Philadelphia proud, and let's make it happen and see what we can do.
Right. Fuji, how do you feel?
I do like the hire. I mean, thing about Deuce, I think Deuce got railroaded. But, he was under 3 regimes here, and he should have gotten the job. But hopefully he'll find down the road, he'll find a head coaching position sooner than later. He's basically taking the job he had here for the last couple of years. And now we're stuck with, we can't hire who we want to hire. I mean, we have no ownership, but I'm sure if you were to take a consensus of the Philadelphia fan base or the Eagles nation, I mean, why can't we just do that with the draft rather than the guy that should be locked away in the closet making the pick? Because I think us fans will know to pick better than that genius. But I'm not going to get into that Howie Roseman rant. I mean, the whole thing with Nick Sirianni, it's what it is. I mean, give the guy a chance. I mean, nobody saw it coming, but nobody saw Andy Reid coming either. All right, not compare Nick Sirianni to Andy Reid, but Andy Reid came out of nowhere. And, he's been in the league since 2009. Frank Reich talked him up. Supposedly the rumor was Jeff Lurie was on the phone for 3 hours before he hired Nick Sirianni. So, and Frank Reich had a lot of great things to say. I'm comfortable because he's bringing in his own coaches. I don't know if some people know this, but before the Eagles hired Doug Peterson, Jim Schwartz was already given the job as defensive coordinator. Now, what's that tell you? Sirianni's at least picking his own coaches, where Doug, for some reason, whatever it was, like Mike Rowe and a couple other guys just, weren't able to keep their jobs here. Doug was able to bring in Frank Reich, but at least, like I said, give Sirianni a chance. And I guess, with the Wentz thing, Wentz has to fix himself. Wentz has to be able to play in the city of Philadelphia. Like I said, he should welcome the competition, and he should have did it this year. You got paid. You got your money. He should have welcomed the competition with Jalen Hurts. So strap on the brass ones and let's go back to your 2017 MVP form. That's what I say.
Yeah, good points. I mean, all together, and to everybody out there, of course, to Tom, David, hello, you guys. Usually I have time to read the comments. It's kind of quick when you have a 15-minute segment, especially when you have Vince Quinn on. So we try to get through it real quick. Rick as well. Rick had actually a good question up here earlier where he said, "I'm wondering if the clubs with the new coaches were going low budget due to COVID losses." That's an interesting thought because obviously they're going to have to try and make money back. As you can see in the NFL down here in Tampa, the tickets right now are going between $9,500 to $19,500 for one ticket. And mind you, no fans are allowed. So I don't know who they're selling these tickets to because it's going to be a lot of the frontline workers, people they invited. Obviously from KC, the fans or the family and friends of the family are invited to the game. Same with Tampa. But I last time I checked, I don't think any of us have like $19,000 where we can all scrape together for one freaking ticket. But as far as budget friendly, that's probably what I end up doing because you're trying to recoup losses that's already been going on between this past season and then the next upcoming season because God knows when all this stuff is going to end up being over. Hopefully sometime soon, but you got to start thinking as far as the future, how much money could you possibly spend? Tom also started with, or he stated that he feels like we have renewed hope. And I think so. I think the same exact way too. I think it's going to be at least a fresh new start, a fresh new feel. Like as we piggybacked on what Tom said even earlier, and I got a good feeling. I got a good feeling about Nick. I think the decisions he's making as far as the coaches will shake up the tree finally. Whether it's the Andy Reid tree when he was here or Doug, whatever the case may be, I got a better feeling, at least me personally, on how things are going to be shaken up. The other video that I'm going to show here is, and speaking about renewed hope, is Nick looking at the first time what used to be someone's office beforehand.
All right. I don't want to look at the camera, right?
It's time to get to work.
Nice. Wow. Iconic picture right there. I love this picture. That is sweet. Wow. Wow.
So Nick checking out his new digs, of course, the head coach, where once Doug Peterson was in there. And I don't know. Again, I think it's a good feeling. When we talked about Michael Terrasas last week with from Indy, he talked about how great he made that locker room feel and how much he'll be missed. And just Michael's a fan and as a podcaster alone, you can feel it in his own heart that he was going to miss Nick a lot. And I'm pretty sure that guys from Indy are going to be doing the same exact thing. So it's going to be interesting. It's time for a change here in Philly more than anything else. But I like the look and feel that the Eagles finally in the direction they're going. Now, will I say now, and I'll leave this both open-ended to you guys, does it feel like finally, if now we have the new head coach in place, we start getting our new coordinators in place, the team starts moving in or excelling forward, now will Jeffrey Lurie finally say, okay, well, you know what? I got rid of everything that I need to get rid of. This is the final year for Harry Roseman, or is that love fest still continue with Harry Roseman after the 2021 season? And Fuji, I'll start off with you because I know sometimes I get you a little bit fired up.
Well, I don't know if I should say this on air, but I'll say it anyway. I don't know what Howie has on Jeff Lurie besides maybe some personal pictures. Maybe he does. I mean, that's the cancer of this organization. He's just a pompous. He's just, he thinks he's like slick. And personally, in some ways, I think the guy's a weasel, but I'm not going to personally attack. But he's the downfall of this front office. And I've been saying for years that the Eagles need a football guy. I mean, you look, John Dorsey just walked out the door to Detroit. I don't know what the hell's in Detroit these days. I mean, Deuce went there. Dave Fitt, the special teams coach, one of the better special teams coaches in the NFL. And what's in Detroit? Detroit can't even draw flies. It's a joke. Talking about one of the worst friggin' franchises in the NFL, like the doormat.
That would be the team just north of here called the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Oh, what has Detroit done? They haven't won a playoff game since 1991 when Barry Sanders was in the backfield.
That's pretty much it. So I know Sherman. Again, over to you, I guess.
If If the Eagles show improvement over the next couple of years, then I don't think Howie Roseman is going anywhere. There's still a lot of chapters that still need to be written in this story. Everybody has already written off Jalen Reagor that he's never going to be able to succeed because Justin Jefferson in Minnesota had a fantastic year. A lot of people were writing off Jalen Hurts because of the fact that he threw a couple interceptions in key games that could have gotten the Eagles into the playoffs on the road against Dallas and home to DCU at the end of the season. Well, I'll throw the question to you guys. What happens next year if the Eagles decide that they're going to move on from Wentz? And I know that they take the salary cap hit with that. And let's say that Jalen Hurts and Jalen Reagor form some sort of connection next year. All of a sudden, so many people in Philadelphia are going to want to put Howie Roseman in the king's chair, right? Because of the fact we didn't believe in you, and now this second-round pick, hey, Howie, you were right. And Jalen Reagor, even though that he didn't have a great year this year, plus he was injured and he wasn't Justin Jefferson, who knows what's going to happen. Now, if the next 2 years happen and Jalen Hurts continues to hold a clipboard and Jalen Reagor continues to be this receiver with limited production, then, yeah, it would be time for Howie Roseman to go. Unfortunately, here's the problem in the NFC East, guys. Washington is getting better. The Giants are getting better. Dallas is getting better. And the Eagles are going backwards.
I don't know.
The Eagles are going backwards. And I'm not saying that Washington, the Giants, and Dallas are all Super Bowl contenders right now, but I think that they are moving up and we are moving down. So that's why the Eagles decided to fix it at this point, and we'll see if it works or not.
So this is where I wish I had like a boxing bell because I would hit the ding, ding, ding because I know it's going to get Fuji fired up. Go ahead, Fuji.
You can get the bell. You can ring the bell, ding,
ding, ding, ding.
Like Rocky III at the end when him and Apollo got in the ring.
Ding, ding.
Remember he said in Rocky III about after this is over, you're going to owe me that favor. What favor?
So you think that they're not getting – you think that Washington, the Giants, and Dallas are not getting better?
Well, Washington needs a quarterback. They got a stud defense. They got 4 number 1 picks on that defensive line. So Chase Young is like going to be a beast. He already was an impact player. They need a quarterback. Dallas, as long as Jerry's behind driving the bus, that thing's going to derail right into the ocean there. The Giants, I don't know where that team's going. Saquon Barkley has tore his ACL in the last 2 to 3 years. Danny Dimes, who the hell knows what's up with him? I don't think he's a stellar quarterback. I mean,
the Giants do. The Giants think he's the best thing since Archie Manning.
Well, it's not like Archie Manning had a stellar career because of the garbage Aints teams he was on in the 70s. I don't even want to bring Eli into the equation, but I'll praise Spade, but not. Eli Manning got lucky on 2 damn catches. That was at to beat New England in the Super Bowl. Other than that, go ahead.
Do you think that those 3 teams are better than the Eagles right now? Washington, Giants, and Dallas?
Offensively, I believe Dallas has the best offense, period, out of the 4 teams. They got the running game. They got 3 stud receivers. Their offensive line needs a little work. Their defense isn't bad, but I don't know what McCarthy's doing, but Jerry Jones has his hand in the pot, and that's the problem. It was the problem when that's why him and Jimmy Johnson never worked out. He brought Bill Parcells. They butted heads. Like, as long as Jerry Jones is running the show, it's the Jerry Jones clown show. It's a joke. Flat out joke.
I will say this much because Fuji had brought it up just before we went on air as well. And God bless Ron Rivera. We understand that he beat cancer, and that's always a great thing when you can kick cancer's ass. Yes, so, our hats off to Ron Rivera. And so Sherman with that, because I think personally DCU is much better than Dallas. I don't think McCarthy still, and just me personally, I don't think he was the right hire for Dallas. I don't think he's going to take Dallas anywhere. No offense to any Cowboys fans, but I would put DCU first before I would put Dallas up there. Giants second, us third, and then Dallas fourth, because they still need to play together as a team. That's the one thing that's still missing with Dallas. And don't forget, they still have a quarterback controversy because there's been no talk zero talk about Dak Prescott being the quarterback of the future. But the little step-headed red child is still hanging around there. So who's to say that Andy Dalton may get a contract before Dak Prescott? So Texas might have a double controversy: Deshaun Watson, Dak Prescott.
Well, come free agency, Dak Prescott is a free agent.
He is a free agent. Remember, he only got a 1-year deal.
There are a lot of quarterbacks on that merry-go-round of open quarterbacks right now. Who knows? Cam Newton could end up wearing the star in his helmet next year. Maybe it's Jimmy Garoppolo. Maybe Matthew Stafford goes to Dallas. The point that I was making is that the Eagles, ever since their 2017 Super Bowl, have regressed and have gone backwards and have gotten older. And I feel that the other teams in the league have kind of gone with a youth movement, getting a little bit better. And here's a bold prediction that the Juru is going to make right now. Okay, and you're not hearing this anywhere else as far as I know. Okay, DCU next year, their quarterback will be, drum roll, Aaron Rodgers, number 12. Aaron Rodgers will be the quarterback of DCU next year.
DCU? No, it's Matthew Stafford got traded to DCU.
There's a rumor floating out
Matthew
today.
Stafford got traded to DCU. When did that happen?
I think it was 2 days ago.
No, I didn't hear that. If I did, then I will go on there and say that I'm wrong. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to go to DCU. And if I'm wrong, everybody go back to this live video and say the Juru doesn't know what he's talking about.
There's a rumor that came out today that Aaron Rodgers could either be heading out west, maybe to the Niners, the Rams, or possibly up north with Belichick.
Well, supposedly Garoppolo has been requested to come back to New England because, Cam Newton was the answer over there in New England. So it's from what's been understood, and we talked about this not too long ago either, that obviously Garoppolo doesn't really want to go back to New England. He prefers to stay in San Fran, but it sounds like San Fran is not giving too much confidence to Jimmy Garoppolo. So it would be interesting if Aaron decides to go west, but I'm almost certain, I guess I have to look it up at off air, because there was something that came across and said that Matthew Stafford was going to DCU. Now, whether it's happened or not is beyond me, because, again, it's still not completely the offseason yet. But I don't see Matthew Stafford regaining any kind of relationship in DCU, but who knows? I mean, maybe he'll do better over there, just like Deshaun Watson prefers to go to New York Jets, which I was kind of more surprised on that behalf. He wants to stay in the AFC, but he prefers New York Jets as his first team. Tom chimes in. Tom says, Aaron Rodgers is a California kid. Heard about him going to the Rams.
Well, here's the thing about that. Jared Goff is owed a lot of money under that contract that he just got. But I don't know. It was on my phone. I don't know what sports outlet it was, but read something that the Carolina Panthers could be interested in Deshaun Watson. How true it is, I don't know.
Yeah, but I don't see Deshaun Watson really wanting to go to the Carolina Panthers. No offense to again, the Panthers fans who are just about a couple hours north from here. I just don't see it. I don't see the gain interest out of the Panthers. The Panthers are not really showing anything. And again, who did they hire? What head coach that abandoned Temple that apparently now can't put the glue back together with this team either? Ron Rivera, he's going to come back in beast mode, because after you're done with the whole chemotherapy thing, he's going to come back to Ron Rivera of old. So expect DCU to do great things. And I'm, by the way, I think we should put out a petition saying they should just keep the name forever instead of the Washington football team. I think you should go with DCU. That's just us. We can give them that name if they want it or not.
It won them an NFC East title this year. So
why don't you call down to their headquarters in somewhere in Virginia and chime that in there when they decide to come up with a name?
Think about what's going to happen with the Carolina Panthers in 3 to 4 years. You got to assume within 3 to 4 years, Drew Brees will be gone. Tom Brady will be gone. Matt Ryan will be gone. If Carolina takes the time now to start to build their team, in 3 to 4 years, they could be the class of that division once again. And I'll tell you what, Angel, a couple hours north of you is Jacksonville. With the mess that's going on in the AFC South right now, watch out for Jacksonville. Give them 2 to 3 years, because the Colts are a mess right now. Houston getting rid of DeAndre Hopkins, and now they're going to get rid of Deshaun Watson. They're going to be a mess. The only team to worry about, I guess, would be the Tennessee Titans. And we know that the shelf life of a running back, a stud running back, is not too many years, right? We're talking about Derrick Henry, 2,000 yards, beast mode right now. All right, he's awesome. Talk to me in 3 years and see how good he still is. Mike, remember when we talked about Sean Alexander and how good he was for the Seattle Seahawks? Well, a couple years later, he was bagging groceries. You know, it's just the way that it happens in the NFL. So give the Jacksonville Jaguars some time. If they get this number 1 pick correct, whether it's Fields from Ohio State or Lawrence from Clemson, they could have some good things coming in 2 to 3 years.
Well, plus Jacksonville has they have like $100 million to spend in free agency. They dumped all the high price contracts.
I just want to see what's going to end up happening, Sherman. As you're talking about as far as Jacksonville, I would love to see exactly what's going to end up happening because, of course, Urban Meyer supposedly left Ohio for health reasons, and he's saying he's able to coach, this season. But it seems like there's something else in the background because there's been more rumors swirling around this Urban Meyer deal, that Jacksonville and him and his health and the whole 9 yards. But I think here in a couple of weeks, there might be another backstory to Urban Meyer coming out for Jacksonville. And so it's going to be, I think this offseason is probably going to be the most interesting offseason that we've seen and heard in a while. So stay tuned, folks. There's a lot of stuff coming, and we're going to bring everything we possibly can, any kind of breaking news or anything else right here on our show. So we'll see. We can't wait for the NFL season to restart all over again, but it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
You know what? I want to mention something. I watched another podcast last night, and I'm not here to promote any other podcast at this point, but I watched a podcast last night, and I made a suggestion to them, and I'm going to make this suggestion to you guys right now and to the fans out there as well. I think what we should do is we should run a pool. Okay, just hear me out. Run a pool. Which quarterback is going to end up with which team for the 2021-2022 football season? Okay? It costs $20 a guess. Okay? And whoever wins with the most right would get an autographed football by the 3 of us. And all the money no, seriously. And all the money that we raise would go to a charity of our choice. That's what I think the 3 of us should do. Because there's so many quarterbacks out there. Stafford, Wentz, Hurts, Roethlisberger, Newton, Garoppolo, Goff. There's so many. Let's run a pool and see who's going to end up where. I think it would be fantastic.
Charity really hurts.
I tell you what, then you put it together and post it up there on our Facebook page and on Facebook and on Twitter. Post it up there and then we'll see. We'll see how everybody feels about it. It's a pretty good idea. Now, of course, someone's going to take a look at the football player. Like, who are these 3 guys? Throw that in the closet, will you?
But these 3 jabronis.
Yeah, but no, but it's a good point, Sherman. I do like it. So yeah. I would definitely agree. There's the clip I want to show. Of course, we've gone over the 15 minutes of, I guess, the time. There was supposed to be 15 minutes of your time here.
15 minutes of fame.
That's true, too. So one thing I do want to show, at least show before we end the show, which is the phone call to Nick, as far as Jeffrey Lurie to Nick. So I want everybody, if people haven't got a chance to hear the actual hiring phone call, is actually pretty interesting, pretty neat to at least feel that Jeffrey Lurie felt like he made the right decision. But before that, I want to take a quick moment just to reflect and not to forget one of our own here locally. Of course, the great Mamba himself and his daughter Gigi that we lost last year in that tragic accident. So if we can just take a quick, brief moment of silence for those 2, just so we never forget, of course, the man himself and his daughter, because I'm pretty sure the family's still reeling today. So a quick moment of silence for the family. Thank you, guys. I do appreciate it. And the kids, it goes a long way, man. It just, his wife did say that she didn't want any kind of remembrance or anything else, like any kind of viewings, or because of it being the week that she lost her family. But I'm pretty sure come sometime throughout the year, they'll do another one to Kobe Bryant, one of the better men that ever played the game, a great human being. May not have been perfect in his life, but in the back end of his life, he got a lot better, helped out so many different people, touched so many different lives. So Kobe, Gigi, rest in peace, and God bless you. So I want to play now the recording when it came to Jeffrey Lurie and the hiring of Nick.
Nick, it's Jeffrey Lurie.
Hey, Mr. Lurie, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great.
Well, I got a kind of a big question for you.
Absolutely.
How would you like to be the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles?
Man, I'm so excited.
Congratulations. Everybody listening here.
Thank you, everybody. I can't wait to get to work with you guys. I couldn't be more happy to be part of that organization.
We are so incredibly excited for the coach you are and the coach you can become. And everything you bring to the best fan base in America is off the charts. And we had really good candidates. You stood out in so many ways, and I can't wait for you to join all of us and reach for more Lombardi trophies, because that's what we're going to do.
I'm going to be more happy. Thank you so much. I'm sure.
So to me, you have to have at least a little bit of excitement. I think Nick will do good things here in Philly. At least that's the way I feel as we're coming here to the close of the show. Also, of course, the Super Bowl will be next weekend. There is no Pro Bowl. They're doing a virtual Pro Bowl, whatever in the world that means. So there'll be no actual Pro Bowl playing this year. Yeah, exactly.
PlayStation 5.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? Sherman actually doing that as well. So, by the way, in case you missed it because you had your head down, Tom says, where do we sign up? Followed by David saying that he's in. So
we
make
just
sure
started now.
Yep. That's right, though. Post it up. Hey, good idea. That's the way it works. And Sherman even made a better one with the hand moving gesture here. How about with that as well, if we can actually get a little Madden tournament going?
Oh, I don't play Madden, so I'm out.
I don't have.
Hey, talk to Tom Fogarty or David Strizak or anybody else out there. I'm sorry, I don't play Madden. I'm a Atari guy. Grand Prix, Keystone Capers.
Anybody out there have PlayStation 5 to play Madden on?
Not me.
Speak now or forever hold your peace.
I'm pretty sure somebody does. So, of course, this week we will be off. We'll be back next week. The time is yet to be determined because, of course, we have to get guests lined up for the Tampa Bay versus Kansas City Chiefs. So we'll have Pollo back on. Diego will be back on with us. And I'm trying to get a local set of DJs here from 98 Rock. Hopefully that will happen. They may not come on the day exactly of the game, but they may do a pre-recorded message for the fan base. So we're going to get the guests lined up for you guys for leading up to the Super Bowl. And then, of course, after the Super Bowl is over, the NFL season will be over. Of course, starts the offseason. And like we said, every Thursday night, 7:30, be here, whether it's Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Periscope. We'll be here every Thursday night, bringing it to you live at 7:30. 15 minutes of time's yours. So any questions you guys may have, anything you guys want to bring up, of course, bring it, and we'll bring in guests as well. Tom, thank you so much for the compliment. Great show today, guys. We do appreciate it. For everyone else, and of course, there's David with Sherman. So once again to the Guru himself. But thank you to everyone out there. We appreciate it. Thank you, La Verdadera, and everyone else who tuned in tonight. We will see everyone, of course, next week. We will inform everyone. So take a look. Just pay attention to the Facebook posts, Twitter posts, and wherever you guys follow us. And we are also working on currently a website. So we'll be able to make at least one central location for everyone. So that's coming up. And again, 2021, we got more things coming. It just takes time, as every show does. But we're slowly starting to make that climb there. So I guess, guys, if you guys don't have anything else to say here.
Well, I didn't give Nick Sirianni my blessing since I'm Vito Corleone.
Oh, there you go. That's right. I forgot. Go ahead, Godfather. Let him know.
An offer he couldn't refuse. Now I want to thank everybody tuning in. You know, I mean, we are the People Show, and we appreciate everybody that's along here for the ride. We love you. We appreciate it. Thanks, and we're going to the top, and just stay with us, and we won't forget the little people.
Yeah, thank you so much for everybody to come on the show tonight. You know, now that the show's over, I'm going to eat my bottle caps. I don't know if anybody's ever had these before, but they are tremendous. Thank you so much to everybody who joined the show tonight. And I'm going to see if I can make some magic work with this whole pool of having people guess where quarterbacks are going to end up. If we get enough people who are interested, let's make it happen, raise some money to go towards a worthy charity, and go from there.
Yep, I agree. So thank you, everyone. Of course, thank you to the Godfather himself. Thank you to the Drew and of course David and a lot of the Shermanators didn't come on tonight, but it's okay though. It's okay because once again he makes a prediction. Usually he's pretty good at his predictions, so we'll see if this actual bigger prediction comes true. So, but thanks to everybody, of course, for tuning in. Again, like us, share us on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, subscribe, and like I said, there's more things to come, and we do appreciate it. So everyone enjoy the rest of their week. Enjoy their upcoming weekend. I will be out on Sunday down in Tampa bringing you the NFL experience. So I'm going to be recording some things. I'm going to try. Keyword is try to get to Radio Week. I'm not too sure because, again, I have 0 credentials. But I'm going to try to get over there to see if we can rub some elbows with a couple of people. So we'll see. I'm excited to see what the NFL experience is going to be all about. So everyone take care. We will see everyone come live again next week. Time to be determined, but take a look for an update on Facebook, and we'll let you guys know. With that, gentlemen, good night. Everyone else, we'll see you come next week.